1. A young woman who had been married only 3 weeks called the newspaper and asked for the food editor. "Would you please help me?" she said. "My husband's mother and father are coming to a special dinner tomorrow night. It's in honor of my husband's boss and his wife. I've never cooked a big dinner before and I want everything to be perfect. So I bought a 9-pound frozen turkey at the supermarket. I am going to cook it in our new microwave oven. I wonder if you could tell me how long I should cook it." "Just a minute," the food editor said as he turned to check in his big reference cookbook. He put the phone down so quickly that he didn't hear the young bride say, "Oh, thank you so much. You've been such a big help," before she hung up. 2. Two housewives who were close friends decided they would go back to work now that their children were grown. They went together to apply for employment at a large manufacturing plant. They were sitting side by side as they filled in the long and detailed application form. As one of the women came to the little box marked age, she sat staring out of the window as though in deep thought. Her friend leaned over and whispered, "Go ahead and put it down. The longer you wait, the worse it gets." 3. A man rushed into a bar and ordered a double martini. The man downed it with one swallow, put a $5 bill on the bar, and rushed out of the bar. The bartender picked up the $5 bill and folded it carefully and tucked it in his vest pocket. Just at that moment he looked up at the boss standing in the doorway staring at him. Doing a bit of fast thinking he said, "Hi boss, did you see that fellow just now? Came in here, bought a double martini, gave me a $5 tip, and rushed out without paying." 4. The 5-year-old was excited about her birthday party. "I hope I get lots and lots of presents at my party this afternoon," she said. "It is not nice to think about getting," her mother said. "You should learn that true happiness comes from thinking about giving." "All right," the little girl said. "I hope all my friends give me lots and lots of presents this afternoon." 5. As 3 men were sitting restlessly in the hospital waiting room, a nurse rushed in and said to one of them, "Good news, your wife just had twins." "What a coincidence," the man shouted. "I'm a ball player. I'm with the Minnesota Twins." A few minutes later she returned and said to one of the other men, "My God, what good news we are having today. Your wife just gave birth to triplets." "Now there's a coincidence," the man said. "I work for the 3M company." Just then the third man fainted. The nurse called an intern, and together they worked to revive the man. As a matter of routine, they checked his wallet for identification. It was then they discovered that he was a salesman for 7-Up. 6. The boss called in as assistant office manager and said, "You told the personnel director that you were absent from work yesterday because you were sick, is that right?" "Yes, sir," the man said. "Well," his boss shouted, "you didn't look very sick when I saw you at the racetrack yesterday afternoon. What do you have to say about that?" "You should have seen me throwing up after the 3rd race," the man said. 7. The man from Kansas was mistakenly bragging to a Texan about the size of the hail in his wheat field. "Why," he said, "we've had many a hailstorm when the hail was as big around as a quarter." "That's nothing," the Texan said. "Down here we have hail that varies in size from $1 to $1.50. 8. A man and his wife were traveling out west and stopped at a sign that said, "Echo Point." "Try it," the woman said. "I think it's silly, but I'll try it," his husband said. With that he shouted at the top of his voice, "Baloney." After a minute, he said, "See, nothing happened. Try it again," his wife said. This time he shouted, "I'm the best looking man in the world." And then the echo came back, "Baloney." 9. The little girl was spending the summer with her grandmother. For breakfast the first morning, her grandmother gave her a glass of orange juice, a bowl of cereal and a glass of milk. At home, the little girl said, "Mommy always has bacon and eggs for breakfast." Her grandmother, willing to break her neck to please her little granddaughter, took away the cereal and went to work preparing a bacon and egg breakfast. When she put it before her granddaughter, the little girl said, "No, thank you." Now grandmother was getting upset, and she said, "What do you mean, no thank you? You told me your mother always has bacon and eggs for breakfast." "That's what I said. Mommy has bacon and eggs, but I eat cereal." 10. A road contractor wanted to keep up his goodwill with a certain office holder and offered to give him a new automobile. The office holder said, "Sir, the ethics of my office and my personal integrity would never allow me to accept such a gift." "I can understand how you feel about that," the contractor said. "Instead of me giving you the automobile, suppose I sell it to you at a greatly reduced price, say for $25. The office holder thought a moment and said, "In that case, I'll take two." 11. The bride, 2B, was making out the invitations for her wedding. Her mother notices that she had not invited any of her unmarried friends. The list consisted entirely of married persons. When her mother asked her about it, she said, "Oh, if I invited a lot of unmarried friends, one of these days I'll have to return the favor and buy wedding presents for them. This way, all of our presents will be clear profit." 12. A census taker had stopped at a house where there were a dozen or more children playing in the yard. He was filling in his form as he talked to the housewife when he came to this question: "How many children do you have?" "Now, let's see," she said. "There's Alice and Bertha and Charles and Donna and—" "Excuse me," the census taker said, "I don't need their names. We're only interested in numbers." "That's an insult," screamed the woman. "We don't give our children numbers. We give them names." 13. A Broadway actress was suffering from nervous tension and strain. She went to a psychiatrist and he told her she needed to get away from her normal routine. "You need a change," he said. "A change," she said. "In the past 6 years I have been in 5 different plays, have lived in 7 different apartments, have been married to 3 different men, have owned 9 cars and have traveled to 24 states in 9 countries. What sort of change did you have in mind?" 14. "This coffee is terrible," the customer said. "What kind is it?" "It's blended coffee," the waitress said. "Blended?" the customer asked. "What kind of blend?" "Last week's and this week's," the waitress said.